The history of philosophy is, to a great extent, that of a certain clash of human temperaments. Of whatever temperament a professional philosopher is, he tries, when philosophizing, to sink the fact of his temperament. Yet his temperament really gives him a stronger bias than any of his more strictly objective premises. It loads the evidence for him one way or the other, making for a more sentimental or a more hard-hearted view of the universe, just as this fact or principle would. He trusts his temperament. Wanting a universe that suits it, he believes in any representation of the universe that does suit it. He feels men of opposite temper to be out of key with the world's character, and in his heart considers them incompetent. As philosophers, we begin from a premise originating in our temperament. Since temperament has no place within philosophy, it is kept hidden, making philosophy an insincere endeavour. The general bifurcation of style that is present to various disciplines reveals a corresponding duality of basic temperaments within the psyche. In politics, it is revealed in the distinction between authoritarians and anarchists. In literature, between purists and realists. In art, between romantics and classicists. And in philosophy, between the rationalist and the empiricist. Our basic beliefs flow from our temperament, and even when we are proved wrong, we never surrender our belief, for we have trained our brains how to think it. It is a skill to account for reality, and we are simply better at believing our belief than we are at believing others. The more skill we have at thinking one idea, the less skill we have at seeing the sense in others. The power of creativity builds a representation of the world that moves us. It makes it seem as if it were real. The mind wants a satisfactory understanding for itself, so that it seems there is something other than understanding to understand. Our disagreements in philosophy reveal the limits to our reason, but for para-philosophy it is an aspect of its power. For para-philosophy, it is the capacity to reason which is the truth, rather than the products of our reason. Philosophy takes place within para-philosophy, and para-philosophy encompasses all particular philosophies. It is the matrix in which our reason moves, as it navigates a path of least resistance from our temperament to our belief. Every one of the many paths we can take is an idea, but all paths together is the idea of the idea. The world we experience is built from these ideas, and they are all relatively true insofar as they are created by our capacity to imagine what could be absolutely true, yet isn't. The relative truth of a given theory is related to the degree in which it has been tunnelled out of the matrix of all possible theories. It is related to the size of the stream within the collective consciousness of man. Ideas are not true in and of themselves, but are realised as true through the activity of the intellect and their prominence within our discourse. We see patterns in philosophy because there are paths in the structure of truth that are faster or more easily traversed than others, and the more a path is travelled, the larger track it leaves. It is this same process that leads to the very development of reality itself, for every discovery is an act of creation, and every creation is an act of evolution. The creative force within us is our ability to value our imaginations. It is always the outcome of our reason, the image that we value, and since it is the nature of intelligence to value, we feel we need an image to place our value on. But paraphilosophy reveals that reason does not have work to do. Reason is engaged in an act of playful exploration and of creation. The purpose of philosophy is to discover what philosophy can be done, not to uncover some ultimate end that would eradicate the entire search. Paraphilosophy is the total power of conception, and it posits nothing other than the exploration itself, for it is the exploration of itself. We guide our consciousness down a previously constructed path, being more sensitive to the familiar. We build our belief structures as though they fill an empty space, not realizing them as cracks in the whole. While traditional philosophy has sought to describe some fundamental truth, paraphilosophy understands reality to be the power to imagine there is an absolute truth. But the only absolute truth is that there is no absolute truth, which means there is one, which means there isn't one. This is the paradox at the heart of reality. The fundamental nature of reality is a paradox, yet we cannot believe a paradox. Truth is a union of the is and the is not, so we cannot hold truth as a belief. Truth is the power to see and to imagine that something other than itself has itself independently. It is our perfect creativity and the indefiniteness which is its nature. Paraphilosophy is truth. It is not merely a theory, nor an area of study. It is the field of possibility in which all theory and study belongs. It is the empty infinitude of creativity within us and what we all are, basically. It is our ability to believe. We can neither believe nor disbelieve in paraphilosophy, for then we would believe that we have no ability to believe, which is again a paradox. But what we know, we need not believe, and we all know paraphilosophy, for paraphilosophy is the self. Reality exists in a state of becoming, and the complete timeline of the world is a representation of the enlightenment of the self coming to know what itself is. When we do not know the self, the world is not real. When we learn about the self, the world becomes more real. When we fully know the self, the world shall have become, for knowledge is creation. And we shall fully know ourselves, and we shall solve all the troubles of our time, because the world must fully become, because the end and the beginning are one, and our future salvation is the very cause of all existence. Enlightenment is not something that can happen to a person. It is what the becoming of reality is itself. Every tradition and religion and spiritual practice which covets that sudden revelation to unveil the mysteries of life is founded on a trick. And only when we know that there is no personal enlightenment do we see this trick. The secret is that there is no secret. The concept is itself a paradox, for it is the knowledge of its own non-existence. We are chained by our own minds, by our concepts, and the concept enlightenment is the strongest chain of all. Every moment is evidence of the impersonal fundamentality of self, and searching for it through words and practice is like diving in the ocean to go looking for air. No man or woman has or ever will possess enlightenment, for it is enlightenment that possesses the man. There are only those agitated enough to conceal the light, and those who let it shine through.